All right, so what we're going to do today is, on this final day of the challenge, I thought, what if we go back into those, we started off with a smiley face, but what if we went into the emojis and went a little bit deeper with characters, with trying a few different ones rather than just the smiley face. So, just to kind of get them out there really quick, I'm going to draw them flat, and a couple of them I might continue and make flat, or the other ones I might actually turn into a little bit more of a three-dimensional piece, depending on what I feel and what I see here. Alright, so first, like I said, I'm just going to put some of the popular emojis that I'm going to tackle out and just draw them on real quick, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time making these perfect or nothing, just because these are just kind of are going to be sketches, or not even sketches really. It's just so that I can look at the emojis here, and at least in a clay form, instead of like trying to remember what they look like or looking at a picture of them on my phone. So one of them I decided to do is this kind of goofy fun emoji, the one with the tongue sticking out. Another one is like the laughing face, the cry laughing face. So that, and then we have a couple teardrops here, the corner of the eyes. That doesn't look like a teardrop. Let's try it again. Like that. And then big crazy laughing, smiling mouth. The tongue showing and the teeth showing. Okay. The next one is the sad crying emoji. And I picked some of these because these are kind of some of the more used ones, as well as are a little out there, especially with the tears, are gonna kind of force you to figure out how to do it, or what to make of it. So here you got this with, crying tears with big puddles, and the mouth is back there somewhere hidden, just in a bawling stage. And then this one, I'm actually going to have to draw the circle and the emoji on this one, because I'm going to do this one as the little devil emoji. So you got this and this, the eyes, kind of a little devilish grin, and then the devil horn. Wow, the devil horns. Alright, so these are the four I'm going to do. We're going to create something out of this little devil, out of this goofy, silly character, the sad crying, and the laughing hysterically. I'm going to put those two aside, and we're going to start with the silly one first. And so we already, with the first one, I already went over kind of the flat shape, so I'm going to kind of do little heads for all of these. Little a little bit more working in around and in 3 dimensions, instead of doing just flat faces. At least that's what I'm thinking for this first one. So with this, I'm going to kind of dig in a little bit of a hole here for this eye. This one I can kind of press in a little bit more because it's a lot bigger. If you have small fingers, you can do it either way. And then this mouth kind of comes down here like this. And what I'm actually going to do is go ahead and dig all of this out with the tool. And have the tongue kind of sticking out. Now that's a three-dimensional version of it. Now to kind of bring it to life and see what you can really push and do with it. So adding a little worm of clay up here, just to kind of raise that eye. We're going to really raise it up even higher. I'm also, because this side of the mouth is going to be, I don't know if I just drew it like that or if it's actually like that in the emoji, but I'm going to make it like that. I'm going to put this side of the mouth a little bit higher, so I'm going to raise the cheek over here. This eye, because it's smaller, I don't know if I want to kind of make it like it's crazy and weird, or if I actually want to make it like a normal eye, but it's just squinting. You know, because it could be a deformality, or it could actually be just a regular character. And you know what? With being silly, I'm gonna go this way. And this is gonna be just kind of squinting this eye. And then kind of, so we press down on this, that way it looks like this eye is kind of squinting. It still gives that smaller eye shape and that crazy overall feeling. Then put a little bit of clay here just to kind of build out and give a little bit more dimension to the front of the face. Whether I do a nose or a snout or anything like that, I don't know yet. But do that. Like I said, I'm going to press this side higher. This tongue is going to come out. I'm going to add a little bit of clay to kind of symbolize that lower lip, as well as adding some clay for a chin, so that it actually looks like, I won't say a person, but like a creature or character of some sort. Give it just a little bit more volume. This tongue I'm going to add to it, and instead of just making it kind of come down and be, you know, silly like that, I'm going to bring it out just a little bit more. Make it a little bit more crazy. Because we're going crazy or silly, we are going to, I just thought about adding some ears, so I'm going to go really big with some ears. And like I was saying before, you can really help do something with the ears to kind of help express your character. So we're definitely going to do something like that. Then this is actually going to end up turning out to be like some little goblin type of thing. Or you know what? It could actually, we're going to take that nose off. It could actually be like a dog or a puppy, and you know how they kind of shake their head and their tongue kind of comes out, their ears flap all around. So I don't know, this might not be an actual dog, but it's going to kind of resemble that. So I am going to bring the snout out just a little bit more. Add a little tip to the nose. I'm going to take this tongue out, and I have to, because this was just a normal mouth, build out so it has a snout, but while keeping the same overall shape. So looking at the side, just trying to add a little bit to kind of build a little bit of a jaw and then that'll help build out the bottom of the mouth. Looking at it from the bottom, I'll make sure that I try to hit the same spot so that it's somewhat even. And there, and here you were able to create this little emoji and turn it into an actual character. Now, let's jump in and actually try to create the next one, which would be, what is the next one? We'll do the devil. This one I think I am actually gonna do a flat, or just a face, kind of a flatter piece. And so we're gonna start out with this. And I'm going to resemble it, but it's not going to be exactly like that. I'm going to do some bigger eyes. Now this is supposed to be a little bit devilish, a little like sneaky. So add on the brows and that kind of downward angle. We're not going to go like super angry, but more like sly and devilish. And then add on the horns, add on a little bit for the nose. Go a little bit bigger for horns though. I don't know if that's really looking like horns or if it's just looking like ears. Alright, so here's the thing with this. This isn't really speaking to me, at least not yet. So, however, as I was doing it, I kind of came up with another idea. And so I'm just going to go with that. We're going to go back to trying to create a character in the round. And do this. I'm gonna kind of add a jaw here to kind of make it a human, a face shape. Okay. And I'm going to kind of dig in a couple holes for the eyes. Bend in here for between the eyes for that, to make that brow ridge. Add this little triangle for the nose. And this one's actually going to be a lot more, at least at the moment, until I change my mind again, it's going to be a lot more human-esque type of form. Adding on the chin. Here I'm going to kind of dig into, there's different planes of the face. Here, the side of the nose. Here's where the the cheekbone is. And then here going down to the jaw. And add a little bit more on the cheek, just kind of rounding out the side of that face. Now, with this, what if I added some hair kind of coming down and around? Actually, just kind of have, no, I kind of have all of it coming down. So this is going to be almost, this is going to be kind of like a girl wearing those devil horns, like on a hairband, those accessories. And that was kind of an idea I thought about as I was making the other one. Now, I don't know how far I'll go into the eyes and things like that, but I still want to add, we're going to try to still give it that little bit of a sly smile. And then adding a little bit to the brow without actually giving it too much of a brow ridge to make it too masculine. So I'm actually going to create this little stand here just to kind of set it on for the moment. Now here I'm just trying to get like really quick the basic shapes. I'm not going to go too far into detail with this. But just keeping that. And then what I would do for this next part is kind of do a worm of clay, but kind of also flatten it out. And if you lay it on your board, you can actually, we're going to cut out like a little strip that'll be like a headband. Kind of press it into the board a little bit so that it kind of sticks to the board and doesn't move as you cut. And then just basically use that to kind of go over top, and I'll press in the corners so that it kind of goes through the hair. So grab any tool that's kind of has a little bit of a point at the end and just kind of press it in, and we'll kind of work the hair to kind of go over it and around it. And I'm going to do the same thing for this side. And then from here, kind of add in a couple. Let's go a little bit bigger with that one. Kind of roll up a couple little horns to put on there. And so now you have this based off of a devil emoji. So you can do something like that to where it's a little more human based, instead of, you know, just strictly characters or animals, depending on what your preference is and what you like and what you want to kind of try. All right, now we have two more. So we're gonna do this one. I'm actually gonna save that one for last. I have a little idea and we're gonna see if it works. I'm gonna do this one. This is going to be, I'm going to kind of just create a little character and do it, you know what, the same way we did that first one. Just start out with a ball and just basically draw the emoji onto it and make it like a three-dimensional emoji, and then from there I will see what I see. So taking this, I'm going to kind of dig in for this eye and for this eye, and then do the same for this brow. And then I'm going to leave I'm not going to worry about actually drawing the tears on. I'm just going to kind of make the face. Okay, so already what I'm going to do is start here and build out the brow for this, because he's actually squinting, so the brow will come down just a little bit and the cheeks will go up. And so I'm just using, I'm not sure where the design on this is going to go, but I'm just using the basic concept of how the facial muscles work to build something and to kind of get started. And then as I create, I'm hoping that something will come out. If not, you still have fun with it and you got an idea out of your system. That's another thing. Sometimes, you know, you might come up with really interesting characters. Other times you may come up with something that's not quite as interesting, that you don't like quite as much. And it's okay, because, you know, every single piece can't be your greatest masterpiece. You're going to have a lot of sketches that fall in between that. All right, I'm going to, not exactly sure what this looks like yet, but it almost reminds me of some of those old, I'm going to say, Asian paintings of kind of like those like cats or pandas that are kind of in this expression, or actually even those statues, those cat statues that have become this big pop culture thing, to where it is basically a cat that, I don't know exactly what it's called, but basically it's a cat standing there and kind of waving at you, to where, you know, it's basically just standing there. It has one arm out that just kind of like rotates like this due to like a magnet, and literally just basically like waves at you, you know, with its whole arm. His whole arm and elbow kind of sway, you know, like this. At least that's what I'm seeing right here. So I just put a couple of cat ears, and we'll see if I actually stick with it or not. Add on a little bit of a nose, add a little bit of clay just to create the snout, these two pads that are here in the front. Okay, you do this. Alright, so this is actually starting to look like something to me, so just keep plugging away. Add a little bit more here for the cheek just because that's raised up. I'm going to define, at least try to define a little bit more of this snout. The cheeks are still up. I'm not going to do the straight teeth across. I'm still going to add the mouth. It's just going to be a little bit pointed. Maybe not a little bit pointed, maybe a little bit rounded at the end, but not as wide as like the emoji. And then do, if I can, I'm going to try to see if I can fit in a couple little fangs or little teeth. Something like that. These little characters, they're fun. However, my preference is to go bigger than this. I usually like working in like half scale. But these are great little concept sketches and things that you can create, and I go around this size, if not just slightly bigger, for when I do the little heroes characters. Just because when you're working smaller, you know, you're trying to fit in or trying to get into and work in a smaller space. However, everybody has their preference, because there's plenty of people that love doing this scale or action figure scale. And there's also a lot of people that do like, for example, like Warhammer little characters where, you know, you'll have a full body little statue or little army man type of or battle type of character that's maybe like this tall, full body, which is insane. But everybody figures out and kind of falls into a flow of what scale, what characters, what animals, what subject matter, what clay that they like and works best for them. So have fun discovering that for yourself. And here, dig in just a little bit more. I feel like I might have dug in a little bit weird on this one. So there we have this little, oh, almost forgot. Now just make a couple of tear shapes. I actually want to go a little bit bigger, just to kind of over exaggerate them a little bit. I mean, it's already exaggerated enough with big tears just kind of flying out their eyes, but I'm going to do a little bit more. And getting them to and then see if they actually read as teardrops as well. That, like that. And so this could definitely be refined, but this is basically a laughing, hysterically emoji little character. All right, now for this crying one, we're going to see if this works. And what I'm going to do is start off with just a ball of clay, and we're going to draw on the eyes and the mouth and just start from there. Now the idea I have in mind is to kind of have the tears be basically these big tears just falling to the ground and kind of have him standing up off of them. And so we're going to see if I can get that to look right and if I can get that to work. So this, we're going to do, I'm going to go kind of see if I can do a little bit bigger, exaggerated crying eyes. That's actually a little bit too much of an arc. They should kind of be more like this, and I'll add brows to kind of really punch that up, and I'll really exaggerate this mouth as well. And so I'm going to kind of do that, dig this out, give him a little bit more of a bottom lip to kind of give him that pouty look, and have it kind of drooping down a little bit. But kind of dig out the mouth. And of course go in here with the brow and do this. I'm really going to have it kind of pressing down in that sad, exaggerated sad look. And since his, because he's crying and he's squinting his eyes, not only is it coming from the bottom, but the cheeks also have to be pressing up to help close the eyes. So again, we're going to add in a little bit of cheeks here just to press up, and then kind of smooth those out a little bit. But do that. Round nose out, that's actually okay. All right, and now I'm going to do this. Now what I'm going to do here is, one thing is I've been using a really soft clay. This is, water-based clay. For some of the other pieces, I have a little bit more. I have a little bit of clay here that's still soft, but it's not quite as soft. It's a little bit harder. So because of the fact that I'm going to have this guy kind of off the ground or like this, there's a couple of things you can do. You can add some armature wire, just make like a quick little stem and like a circle at the bottom to kind of, so it's a base, so it kind of stands up. Or I'm going to try to make, you can also try to make it just stand off of this and just use a little bit harder of a clay. And so actually, let's see. Here's kind of what I meant. Here's a little bit of armature wire, and I would see how tall I would make it. Definitely, I would definitely want to wrap it up to kind of double it up. This will make it stronger. And then from there, I don't need it this tall. So kind of having like a circle like this for a base, I might actually want a little bit bigger than that. So I'm going to unwind some of this. And then here, depending on how tall you want it to be, and again, I'm just going to wrap this up so it has something to stick in. But basically using something like this, a simple simple base like this, just to kind of hold the head up as you're, as you're actually like to kind of help balance it. So you do something like that and actually have it stick in. This is kind of a little bit, I would want to double up a little bit more because this is heavier ball than I thought it was, but it still works like that. And so since I already did that, I'll go ahead and just leave it like that and take this and kind of, let's go, I need a little bit more, we need to go a little bit higher. And just have these streams of tears. And the other thing is that since I have this here and it's holding up the back, as I put these on, it's going to become even more stable because now it has 2 points of connection, whereas after I add this one, it'll have 3 points. So basically, instead of having one leg, on your chair, you now have 3 legs. So it's more stable as you do this. All right, so connect that to the eye, have this here. And now you have something like this. I'm going to lower this camera because it's kind of a weird angle. Alright, so now you can see it straight on, and now I'm going to basically use this and just kind of make it a little bit thinner at the top and kind of see if I can get it to blend into like it's actually coming out of the eyes. And then at the bottom, we're just going to add kind of a little bit of clay around it, just kind of making it look like the bottom of a waterfall. A little bit the bottom of a waterfall, as well as like a spilled liquid on a table. So that the tears come down, they hit, they splash up, but then they also just kind of flow. Right, and then let's see, maybe I have a few lines here to kind of show the direction and kind of a little bit of the like movement of the tears maybe. But there you go. Now you have this little crying emoji character, and of course, you can always bump this up, and this could be actually turn into even more of like a creature or a character. I could have added like these big old like bat wing or bat ears. It's a little bit too big for that one. Nope, a little bit smaller. Try to get them to match, and then just kind of press it on. It's still a little bit big. I actually kind of like that one a little bit better though. So I'm just going to add a little clay over to the outside of the other one. So there you have it. Now with these, again, this is all just to have fun and to see what kind of creative characters you can come up with. But another thing this does is this helps you, again, with coming up with characters that maybe you want to make bigger. But what if you wanted to create something like this into a statue? Doing it this way also helps you to figure out, how am I going to make it work, or kind of design it so that it's actually balanced. And so that's another good thing for these little sketches, is they help you figure out the pose of the character itself, as well as if I turn this in and I actually want to make this into a physical piece that I keep, how is it going to work? And is there other things I need to add? Like for this one, if you wanted to make this into a piece, there's a few things you could do. You could either add on some kind of base. If you just wanted it to be the head, you could always add on the body. But you could add on like a base for the head to kind of make it like a bust, and then the waterfalls are kind of falling. Or another idea is you can take this, make these a little bit thicker and stronger, but shift the head a little bit forward like this. If this was a little bit more forward, and this was thicker, these would actually be able to support the head. You would have that straight line of balance here, because you'd have a good strong connection point. This would be thicker, and it would be the center of the head would be a little bit farther forward over top of this center. With this, these are too thin for it to actually balance like this, but you make these thicker and you definitely move the head forward, and as you can see, it's already a little bit more balanced. The other option would be to exaggerate these even more, so that you have a little character like this, or actually we're going to go even smaller to really show you what I mean. You make a little ball like this, and this would be the head, and then make the tears just extremely big and crazy. Now, as you can see here, if I had this working, this is obviously balanced right here. And if you add another one, it would be even more balanced. But something like that, just making him super crazy, upset. The other thing is, I think I want to say that there was a sculpture I remember that kind of had a character like this with like laser eyes. And so one of the things they did was they did actually have the head wasn't centered, and it was a lot farther back like this, so that he was shooting laser out his eyes, but they were going forward. And it was actually more of like a full body, but it was kind of like an anime full body, so it had a larger head, and then like a smaller body. However, they were able to make the sculpture to where the laser beams out of the eyes were still going forward, and the head was way back here like this. However, the base of where the eyes hit were a lot wider as well. And so it still had so much material here that it was able to counterweight the entire sculpture. So, things like that, it'll help you to design out at this scale and just having fun with it. So hopefully this week has been fun for you guys. You guys have been able to create some cool stuff. You've been able to, see new shapes, new faces. You flexed your imaginations. Everybody that thought, I'm not really creative, I don't think I can do this, have been proven wrong, I hope. And I want you guys to keep trying these things out, keep having fun. And in the future, I'll share more of these. You can also check out my clay therapy course, which kind of goes a little bit, it's really similar to this, as well as going into a little bit of the mindset and the thoughts that go on behind it. And I also have stuff on Patreon, which goes a little bit more, is going to start going a little bit more into portraits and doing a little bit more interesting characters, as opposed to just, you know, these are all small pieces and quick sketches. And when I work on larger pieces, I start with a lot of likenesses and portraits and kind of turn them into something a little more interesting. And, you know, do my best to kind of bring things to life and tell stories in that way. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Get creative, have fun, and I'd love to see what you guys are able to come up with.